Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, September 9th, 2024. The weather has been pretty decent lately. Still have some warm temperatures coming. We run into the situation where we end up with a false fall, right? And I've talked about this before. Temperatures dip, we get all excited. Temperatures go back up. Yay, you know. But September's here, and that means change of seasons. It's coming for everybody. Um, you know, uh, Last week we weren't here. We were traveling, my wife and I. We went up to Pennsylvania. We picked up that 70 Mustang, and we were actually seeing the leaves changing. As we went further north, saw the leaves starting to change in the mountainous areas there. So, it's inevitable. Change happens. Can't get away from that. Welcome to the live stream. I do this typically, if I can, every Monday night at 7 o'clock, and I encourage everybody to be part of this live stream. If you're new here, we try to talk about classic cars, and as I say many times, that bracket to me is like 55 to 79 ish. It's kind of where I go with that. I've been hearing more and more about certain cars, people finding cars, uh, cars that are being shown to me that I've never seen before, and it's pretty exciting. A lot of these cars we tend to think are no longer around or not available, but they're still out there, and you need to know where to look, I guess, and try to find them. I'm going to talk about a few things tonight dealing with the Mustang situation I'm in right now, and of course plans moving forward, and working on a Cobra Jet and all that sort of thing. I did mention I did a video on my Patreon account or for my patrons, and it discussed a lot of what's been going on in the garage and what I intend to do with everything that's in here. Also, I will point out I have a bit of a head cold of some sort. You can probably hear it in my voice. I know my voice sounds a little bit rough tonight. Nothing I can do about that. I'll see how long I can go with this live stream. So, if you're new here, again, I encourage you to participate. If you have a question or subject you want to bring up, or if you want to share something or share some pictures, already had people send me some pictures that I'm going to show later on. But please do so. Please do so. And when you do, you get a bell. Yep, that's how it works. You get a basic reward for being here on this live stream. Um, let's see who's here tonight, and then we'll go on and see what we can talk about. Okay? So, first in, Rick Gain. Fall may be approaching, but unfortunately that means so is winter. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. Thank you, Rick. Yeah, and winter, yeah, it hasn't been as bad here in the South as it has been in the past. In fact, just a point of reference, we haven't had any snow here in quite some time, and no serious snow. But I'm on a page for Delta retirees, and on that page somebody has posted. I probably should have downloaded those. Somebody has posted pictures from 1992 where we had, like, I don't know, 8 or 10 inches of snow that shut down everything. The most snow they've had in years, and it was in '92. It was like my second year. Actually, I don't, not even a full year in. So it's kind of cool to see those old pictures, but it hasn't been as bad. Let's hope it maintains that, at least here in the South. Dave Britton says, Rick, I hate the thoughts of winter coming. I have a pile of work to do to get done before the snow flies. Good evening, all, by the way. Glad you're here, Dave. That's our first Dave sighting. Terry Keithley, good evening, all. Please hit the thumbs up and like button for Barry. Thank you kindly, Terry and Betty. And the cats, I'm sure. Glad you're here. Derek Pro, hi Barry, everyone. I hope all's well. A quick visit. Plan on pulling the engine and running gear out of Project 65 today. That sounds like fun, hopefully. And he also says, what's going on in your shop, Barry? They're doing rabbit things in there. Maybe give them the hint to do a fully restored drive-away version. Yeah, exactly. um, and Derek also has sent me an email. I don't know if he's still listening or not, I tried to open the email, but the pictures are all like, it's like they're all merged together, so I can't open those up. So I'll just have to carry on with what we have at the moment. Jerry is checking in from the Money Pit in Middle Tennessee. Thumbs up. He says, good evening, all, as well. So glad you're here, Jerry. Man, voice is already feeling rough. Oh, sorry, Roger. Hindsight 6'7", greetings from next door. Glad you're here, Raj. And Steve Reed from Paducah, Kentucky. Hello, Barry and everyone. Hope you all have a great day. And I sent a picture of a Mustang. I washed it off and now fixing to do body work now that the welding is done. Okay, so I was able to download this picture. So there is a picture of his fastback. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I like it. Get that body work done. Yep. Let me go back up here. Troy. Hope I didn't miss anybody. Let me look through the list quick. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. And I don't believe I did. Okay. Troy Justin, happy Monday all. Nice picture of a garage full of non-drivable Mustangs. Looks like my garage. Yeah. Yeah. Robert is checking in. The Infernal Craftsman. Evening all. Beautiful weather here in Ohio, but still hot at home in Texas. Yeah. And I was up in, Pennsylvania last week, and let me tell you, the weather was fantastic. Had a little bit of light rain. I think there was just barely. Nothing bad. Well, I say that for the most of the days. One day we had a lot of rain. We went up there on that trip to celebrate my mom, her 80th birthday. So we were there for that, and then also to pick up that Mustang. And so my sister and family, it's a big event planned at their house, and outdoor stuff. And then the rains came, and so we were unable to do much outside. Spent the whole afternoon, evening inside the house, which was fine. We all got to hang out. It was great. Had a good time. But yeah, it was the weather when we left on Tuesday of last week. We left Tuesday morning to drive back. It was 42 degrees on my in-laws' back porch. That felt really nice. And now I say that I don't want 42 degrees. I don't want to get below 50, honestly. But it felt really good because it was a short thing. It wasn't like we were going into winter and starting to, get cold. It was just brief, and I knew it was going to warm up later in the day, which it did. So, and by the way, we drove 14 and a half hours to get back, towing that car. And, at times you could do 65, at times 70, whatever. Car towed fine. Didn't have any issues. Even come down out of the mountains and everything. Everything went fine with the tow dolly, but we stopped. The knees start to cramp up, and you want to, hey, let's stop at this rest area and get the legs to work again. And of course, we had our dog with us, so we had to take the dog out, stuff like that. But it was fine. It was fine. It was a good day to drive, so I had no complaints about it. The bowler hat guy, David. Good evening, all. Looks like the garage is standing room only. It sort of is, but I have rearranged things. So currently, the space on the other side over here, where the Cobra Jet was sitting, is now open. That's all open over there. The Cobra Jet is in the paint booth where it belongs. So that was the goal ultimately, to get the Cobra Jet back there. I had staged everything, put them all together. I wanted to have a picture of all the Mustangs I have, inside the garage, have them all in the same location, and it worked out pretty good. So once we got the pictures, pushed it back around. Roger helped me push the Cobra Jet back around and get it into the paint booth. The funny part is, everything else The other cars, I was using my truck to pull things out and push things around and clean out everything. And so like the whole paint booth, all the pieces and parts you've seen probably in the videos, almost all that stuff is out of there now. There's only a few boxes, big boxes back there, and of course the car is sitting there waiting to get some attention. But glad you're here, bowler hat guy. Bob Shoemaker. Good evening. Your shop must be 36 wide, 24 deep, just opposite of mine. I'm going to lucky just to get mine just inside the door. No, my shop is 24 wide, 36 deep. Yeah. 24 wide, 36 deep. Not counting the paint booth area, which is another 14 feet. So it's really 24 by 50 overall. But yeah, I wish it was twice this size. There's a little gnat. Twice this size. But yeah. Glad you're here, Bob. Jerry is checking in. Hi, Barry. Howdy, y'all. It's a wonderful day in Ohio. It makes Robert so happy until I send him home. Yeah, I'm sure. I understand. Rusty's Restoration. Hey, Barry and all from southern Indiana. Glad you're here, Russ. And Rick Stevenson is checking in. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Rick. That means I can have some coffee now. See if I can calm down my rough throat. And I think if all goes well, Rick might be paying me a visit tomorrow. That's the plan anyway. So hopefully that works out. Dawn is checking in from Dawn's Manufacturing. Hello from sunny Extra Warm PDX. Sorry, no video again this week. Renovation project closing in on the finish line. Okay. Glad you're here, Dawn. My Mustang Garage, James. Hello, everyone. Hello, James. Glad you're here. Mr. Cyrano. Hey. Couple hand waves all. I haven't seen you in a while. Glad you're here. Hope all is well with you. Robert. Jerry is taking me out for custard afterwards, as I bought yesterday. Well, that's a good thing. Nothing wrong with that. Enjoy the custard. Dave Tyson, good evening all. Evening, Dave. I think it's like our second or third Dave sighting. C&J Hoyt, good evening all. How do you know what height to set the rear inner wheel wells at off the edge of the fender? Okay. How do you know what height to set the rear inner wheel wells at off of the edge of the fender? Okay. So you're asking about the wheelhouse, right? Now, that's a good question, and it's probably not the easiest one to answer. What I normally do now, depending on the car, so in the case of like the Cobra Jet, I think I had the complete wheelhouse assemblies, I think. So it was pre-built, so you really couldn't guesstimate that wrong. And when I mock stuff up, I set the quarter on to make sure it lines up correctly. Now, what you can do, there's a variety of ways you can look at it. Let's say if you were to take a drop measurement from point A to point B. So if you got the top of the arch still in the car, you know where the contact point is, you could do a drop measurement from point A to point B just to know the height is correct. Fore and aft, it should not change. Like the wheelhouse fits into the pocket of the drop-off and the transition panel area and the frame rail. You really can't change that unless you've already modified that or changed that. So you can't really change the depth. But up and down, you could do a drop, like I'm saying, or if you wanted to, you could even make a cardboard template. Let's say you still have the axle in place, and you take a piece of cardboard and you cut it to fit in there, and maybe even use the studs or something on the brakes on the axle to hold that piece of cardboard up. So you could go that far if you wanted to. The thing is, the inner wheelhouse, I'm not going to say it's not important, but it's not as important as the outer. So what I try to do, if I'm going to be using two pieces, I may even take and clamp those together or run screws through them and set the assembly in. So you can rotate that into place, get it up and clamp it, set the quarter on, verify the drip edge or the wheel well opening is correct, and make sure it's all sitting right. And then from there, you can take it back apart and just weld that piece back in. So there's a variety of ways that you could probably figure that out. Those are what's coming to mind at the moment. But I usually try to get either the whole piece, both sides together, as I've done with. In fact, I just did a little video. It'll come out hopefully probably this week. I fixed the wheelhouse on this car. I did the passenger side wheelhouse, and I didn't mess with the inner because it was good and solid, but I put the outer in. But that doesn't really help where we're at. But I ended up trimming the flange off where the inner structure for the quarter opening, the quarter inner structure, I trimmed that off because I didn't want to separate that stuff. The difficulty on these wheelhouses is it's got like a ripple weld, like it's put through a roller and crimped and welded together at the same time. So it makes it more of a challenge to even take that stuff apart. I hope that helps. And I'm assuming, I don't know if you've taken the old one out or not already, so there are some variables in that as well. Let me know if that helped you at all. Good question. Jill Leach. Hi all. Hi Joe. Glad you're here. Ed Cucciarella. Hello all. Hello Ed. Whoop, there we go. There you go. The bell was a little defective. Michael Pagliarini, good evening all from Rhode Island. Welcome, Michael. Glad you're here. And we have Scott Leach. So we have Scott and Jill, or is it not connected? But we have two Leach, or two people with the name of Leach. Hi all from Phoenix, finally getting cool enough to drive the Mustang and F100. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Rick Gain, what type of tow lights do you use on a car when you're towing it with a dolly? Actually, the dolly has lights built in. So I don't put anything on the car. It's not required. At least I hope it's not required, because the tow dolly has brake lights on the fenders, and they are red in the back and orange in the front. So whenever I hit the brakes, they both light up, in front and rear, so I can see them in my mirror to know that they light up. And I think it's all that's required, because I've not seen anything, like if you look at an RV, typically if they're on a tow dolly, I've not seen extra lights added on. But I don't have any. Dave Tyson says, Camaro, I'm working on it, sort of. I'm trying to work my way towards that Camaro. What I would like to do is, once I get primer, get that process going on the Cobra Jet, because I've been rearranging all kinds of stuff in here, and that's taken up a lot of time. Ideally, this is my thought process, if I can get primer going on those panels, and I like to let primer sit. I don't prime and then the next day start sanding and then say, oh, let's throw some paint on it. Nope. I let that primer shrink and dry completely, and it might take a week, it might take 2 weeks. I don't know yet. But in the meantime, what I'm thinking I may do, maybe, if I can, I may go, well, first of all, I need to go get new quarter panels. So I need to go up to AMD and get some parts. But if I can roll the Camaro back in here briefly to try to take care of those quarter panels, I will. I'm kind of hoping I can make that happen. So, good question. Marcus checking in. Hi all. Driving but listening. Well, that's okay. I hope I don't put you to sleep. Rick, driving back to Florida from Chicago, passed through Paducah just a little bit ago. There you go. On the road. Derek says, sent you a couple of emails. Should work better. Okay, let me see if that's if that works. Okay. I'm gonna just download a couple of these. So you got a Monte Carlo bar, it looks like, and the Project 65. Okay. So let me see if I can download a couple of those. Give me just a second. Try to get one more. So Derek is working on this 65 that he imported to Australia. And I know we talked about it before. It's a pretty solid car. Now he's talking about, I think he mentioned taking out the suspension and pulling the drivetrain out of it. But he sent me these pictures as well. So that looks like the Monte Carlo bar. And I'm assuming you got it to go in. So that's a plus. These cars need all that help they can get, honestly. Thank you, Derek. Appreciate that. Chris Greenaway. How is everyone? Glad you're here, Chris. Oh, Scott. Sorry I logged in accidentally on my wife's account. Okay. I knew the name was like, wait, who? Okay. It's all good. Ralph A. Jr. Cybulski. Hi, everyone. Hi, Ralph. Glad you're here. C&J Hoyt, 66 coupe. Yes, that helps a lot. It's one piece. It's the one-piece units I'm putting in. Okay. Well, then that'll be really good to help you get that in place and test fit the quarter panel. Now, I don't know what quarters you have or, brands or whatever. And I don't know about the fastback so much, but I know on the driver's side quarters on the coupes, they're a little bit long typically. So I've had to shorten those up before to make everything fit correctly. That's why, I stress that all the time about test fitting. If you go back and look at the 65 Mustang I did, the light blue one, had a lot of problems with the back of that car having things, fit right and line up. But, I was talking to somebody today about their Mach 1 they're building, and they were having some problems. We resolved it, figured out that the fender was actually built wrong. But along the lines of that, whenever we were talking, he said, I've test fitted this, I've test fitted that, everything looks good. And I said, well, what about this part? He's like, no, I didn't test fit that. I said, test fit everything. I mean, pre-build the car. I know it's a pain. You want to just get to that point where you're like, hey, let's just scuff it and shoot it and be done. And then you start putting something on, and it's like, oh, this doesn't line up. Now what do we do? So I just stressed to him, make sure you test fit all those pieces before you get to what we would say is the end, because you don't want to have to be undoing things. Chris Saloon. Is that right? Saloon? Hope I said it right. First time joining, getting back into my 69 Mach 1 build. I have it on a rotisserie and connected to the rear bumper holes. Will I be able to replace the rear frame rails from the torque box back? I'm not going to recommend that. At least not on a rotisserie. I would not recommend do that on a rotisserie. But you can. I would not. Yeah, that's a lot of weight to put on the rear bumper bolts on those holes, especially if you're taking out the frame rails. I wouldn't do that. If that's what you're asking, I wouldn't do it that way. I would support it. You may have to put it on jack stands, on the pinch welds, on the rocker panels, and do one side at a time. Like I've had people try to cut out both frame rails at the same time, and then they don't have a reference point. So I always say do one at a time. take measurements from one to the other. When you get the one swapped out, now you have measurements to go back to the other way as well. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing that on a rotisserie. That's my answer. Good question though. Rick, guessing AMD never came through as a sponsor for the Camaro, huh? Yeah, yeah. They, I mean, I had a commitment, at least that's what it seemed, and then they didn't follow up after that. And I'd asked a few times, and finally I just gave up because, if they're not going to respond to me, it's not worth my time to even, go that route. But the other side of that is I do have a friend who is he gets really good discounts with AMD, and I'm going to probably contact him to see if I can go through his account and get some of those get some discounts. We'll find out. I have some more pictures I'm going to pull up here in just a second. But it would have been nice. It would have been nice. But I understand they can't, they can't give stuff away all the time. I don't hold it against them. So I got a message from Scott here. Sent email of my rides if you want to share. So here we go. Ah, very nice. Very nice. Yep. Give you a bell for that. I like it. Very cool. Thank you. Thank you for sharing those. Let me go back up here to comments. Where we're at. James, I saw on Facebook Marketplace a true 1943 Chevrolet car for sale. 0 cars were made for public sale during World War II. So this car is one of 3,000 cars for military and or police. Wow. Now that's a here's the caveat to that. Just my opinion. That's a rare car. 43 Chevrolet, that would be a super rare car. Of course, I don't know what condition it's in. I can't assume I know what condition it's in. The difficulty with something like that, while it is extremely rare, how do you rebuild it? Or how do you, are the body panels, does something overlap? Like, is it the same from 42 to 43? Or is it a whole different look kind of thing? That it's always cool to see that stuff. And in this case, it might be something that you just say, I'm going to leave it the way it is, whatever condition it's in, and put it on display or take it to cruise-ins or something like that. I always get hesitant when I find something like that while it is extremely cool, it's also, what do I do with this? That is a difficulty that we all need to consider when we see those things. I wouldn't mind seeing that though. I think that would be really cool to see something like that. So, thank you. Chris, what's the plan for the Mustang stable you've got going on? That's a great question. Now, here's the plan. Plans change, right? Plans change. I've already talked about this on my Patreon account. The 70 Mustang, I decided that I'm not going to mess with it. I've decided I'm not going to build it. I'm not going to do anything. And there's reasons for this, and the reasons are many. I've had people offer to buy the car already, the way it sits. I've had people ask about, this and that and the other on that car. And the reality is, while I can fix it, I have no doubt I can fix it fairly quickly structurally. The metal, that's not a big deal for me at all. The problem I run into is what do I do with it after that? So like this car here, this is my 69. And you could see you hopefully see, it is stuffed to the gills with boxes of parts, new parts, old parts. In fact, the 70, which is sitting behind it, it's stuffed with parts for this car. I have to have two cars to hold all the parts for one car. So the reality of that is I have probably every single thing I need to put this car back together and drive it. The 70, I didn't fully realize, I guess, that it had been basically stripped. Like, there's no interior, there's no wiring, no steering column, no pedals, no anything. There's nothing. They took the deck lid. There's no hood, no grill, no bumpers, no bumper brackets, no nothing. So I have a shell that my thought was I'll go buy a dynacorn floor pan, I'll get new aprons and shock towers and frame rails as assemblies, put all that back together and make it a good roller. But again, what do I do with it? Because if somebody doesn't want it, now I'm sitting on this thing knowing that I can't finish it. The beauty of it is it comes with two almost perfect 69 front fenders, which this car actually needs. I do have front fenders for it. I have aftermarket right here, which I don't like the aftermarket fenders. And I have the two original fenders, but they're not very good, let's put it that way. So having a set of Ford tooled original type fenders really helps me out with this car. So I decided to sell it. And I've already made a deal on it. A friend of mine down in Florida, he's the one that had bought the Red Dave car. He bought the 68 that I had, took it to Florida. He's going to buy this car and take it to Florida. So, he's got all kinds of pieces and parts and stuff. And what he does with it is up to him. I can't say for sure how it's going to end up. But we're doing some wheeling and dealing and trading on things. And that's going to help me out because now I have new good fenders. And I don't have to force myself to redo all the metal. He can just take it and do what he wants with it. So that's what's going to happen. Now, once that car is out of here, this car is going to roll back underneath the fangled 68 that's up on the lift and give me even a little more room up front to hopefully maybe roll the Camaro in here and get some work done on it. So that's a good question, and that's my answer. James, World War II, got you on that. Charles says the whole car is stripped down. I get that, but I still would not put faith in the bumper brackets or the bumper mounts holding that stuff together. Anybody who's worked with metal or on rotisseries, even though it seems like it may be a good idea, I don't know that I'd want to risk it. I don't know that I'd want to take that chance of just having something get out of line. I'm not saying it would, but it is a possibility. And then, what do you do to fix that? If you put in that frame rail and something isn't right, now the car's out of shape, and it's all critical when symmetry matters. So, you could try it if you want to. I'm just saying I would not do frame rails on a rotisserie. I wouldn't do that. Derek, more and more panel or mechanical parts need a lot of time to make them fit. Very frustrating. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I understand that. Gig'em Garage. Good evening. Kevin Barth here. Hi, Kevin. Glad you're here. Derek says, back in the day when we first met and you taught us how to modify panels, luckily I still have the rear GT Valance, which will go on his car, and it fits. I'm sure it does. Original tooling Ford? Yes. Yes. Derek says, very nice to Scott. Yep. And yeah, he says, thanks. Okay. James, 43, 41, and 42 Chevrolet are all the same. Okay. I mean, that's fine. And I don't know what the demand is for those cars, because a lot of those cars in that time period just the appeal has really dropped off on those, in my opinion. I don't know many people looking for those sort of things. It is kind of cool though that if being 43 and extremely low production. Rick, are you going to keep the 69 fenders? Yes. Yep. I it was worth the trip just to get those fenders, to be honest. It really was. Those are fantastic. Rick says, why not sell the Camaro for what you can now, get out from under it, and make room to build more Mustangs? Well, the Camaro is not in my way. The Camaro is actually sitting outside under a tarp, unfortunately. The difficulty is, if I part with it the way it is, if I try to sell it to somebody else the way it is, right now, it's not, how do I put it? It's not practical to sell it in pieces. So without the roof attached, without the quarters attached, without the tail panel attached, it has to be somebody who does what I do that's going to want to take it on to finish that. And typically, for them to take it on, they're not going to want to pay me what I feel like it's worth. So I'd almost be losing money on it to get rid of it the way it is. The reality of it is, I have at least three people interested in buying it after I get it all back together. And I would rather sell it as a complete body ready to go on to somebody else to do paint work than to try to pass it off into pieces. It just doesn't make sense for me to do it that way. But I get what you're saying. I do. I get what you're saying. Blind luck mechanic. Better late than never, but I'm here. Well, glad you're here. Hope all is well. Michael Pagliarini. It must be common for the aftermarket fenders to fit like junk. Mine are dynacorn, and they're driving me crazy. Yes. That's why I try to use the original tooling if I can find them. That's partly why I was really excited about when I found out that these fenders on the 70 were original fenders. That really made me happy about that whole deal. Chris Greenaway, why don't you do a 69 his and a 70 hers and enjoy retirement with your partner? No. I'll just be honest. My wife really doesn't care about these cars. She's happy to have her minivan and drive it. She'll ride with me once in a while in one of these cars, and she's like, "Oh, okay, that was fun," but she really has no interest in these things and what I'm doing. So it wouldn't pay off for either of us to go that route. But not a bad idea, but just not going to happen. Derek says, Michael, I know you're paying 4 hours just to make a cheap Monte Carlo bar fit. I'll bet. Yeah, and that Monte Carlo bar, I mean, I don't know how out of shape maybe the towers were or anything like that, but, it serves a purpose. And I think I've worked with one of those. We did a 68 coupe at the body shop years ago. I put air conditioning on it, and that bar got in the way. It got in the way. I had to, how did I do that? I ended up redesigning the bracket that Vintage Air provided. I redesigned their bracket to make the AC compressor fit underneath that Monte Carlo bar. So, a lot of times these companies, they don't even take stuff like that into consideration. So if you're looking at buying this, they don't look at all the aftermarket parts. Like, they build the bracket for an exposed area on the the engine, and somebody does some mods and decide to do this or that or the other, suddenly you have to now change something. And I know I've redesigned that bracket. In fact, when I did the convertible, the Brooklyn Pony car, I had to redesign something with that as well. I don't remember what it was, but it was something I had to modify because of the combination of the steering and everything. But that's all part of. To me, I know it sounds frustrating, and it is, but I kind of live for that in a way, like seeing something. And I'm not saying that I want to fix or modify or redesign what they've already done, but I feel like I troubleshoot what I see, so I can go, oh, if I cut this here and I move this a quarter of an inch there, I can make this bracket fit just like it should in this case, and everything's going to clear. And it's just one of those kind of like a brain puzzle. Like, how do I make this piece fit there and do that? So I do get a kick out of that, as long as I can solve it. When I don't solve it, that's when I lose sleep. Rick says maybe you could get a job working for Dynacorn making bodies. Quality would go up for sure. Well, it would, but I'd have to learn another language probably, and I'm not going to go through that, and I'd have to move. No, I don't know if they. I don't know if those are. I've heard they're assembled here. I assume they are, but I really don't know. I really don't know for sure. But yeah, I don't think I'd want to go work. That would be production line work. Not going to do that. Robert, most of the shock towers have flexed in a bunch. If I remember correctly, it's a 40 1/4 inch wide or width for it to fit right, or it's hydraulic spreader time. Yeah. Yeah. Put a porta power in there and push those things apart. Make it fit again. That's the one. That is a bad drawback to these shock towers. Is I say it's a bad thing. They designed these cars again to be commuter cars. College kids drive them, whatever, and especially the early cars. So they didn't put a lot of emphasis into that kind of structural integrity. If you see one of these cars at a racetrack, SCCA or Trans Am or whatever, and they've got extra reinforcements in that car, because I wouldn't want to take a stock version and try to go hammer it through corners, knowing that the shock towers are taking that kind of load, pushing on them. So, yeah, they need help, and that's why the export brace is a great thing to have, and of course swapping out and putting in the Mustang 2 style suspension is a big upgrade, let's say. But yeah, they weren't meant to take serious abuse. Derek, it was an inch too long and the end brackets distorted. Oh, yeah. So the Monte Carlo bar itself was an inch too long. Is that what you're saying? Like it's longer than it should have been? That's always fun. That means you get to cut it down and modify it. Unless you were able to spread the towers back apart. You think about that, the whole process, where you push the towers out, and now you've got to realize, do the fenders still line up? All that stuff is so interconnected. So you got to do it right the first time. Derek says, Rick, the prices would then skyrocket as it would be too perfect. Yeah. Thank you, Derek. Rick says, did you ever get any updates on the stray pony? Still wishing I had bought that from you. No, I have not heard anything. I know the last I'd heard he'd gotten it painted, but that's all I know. That's as far as I know. I don't know anything else after that. Have not kept up with it. I've been able to have contact with him. Roger, the front frame stiffeners were heavily modified on the Brooklyn Pony. The torque arm mounts were modified and new pieces machined. There was a lot of refitting. Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot done on that. That's for sure. Derek says yes. Okay. Oh, we're talking about the bar being too wide. Okay. Bob, did you use your hole puncher on the 69 wheelhouse? I sure did. Yep. It, uh, it did exactly what I wanted it to do. It's a great hole puncher. I like it. Derek, the car already has the export brace, so skirt's in good shape. Just a crap Monte Carlo bar. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, at least that's a fairly easy fix. Cut it off and get it the right length and weld it back together. Blind luck mechanic on the 65. Does anybody off the top of their head know the measurement from tower to tower? I didn't take a measurement before I put my new AJE mini towers in. I can't say what the measurement would be tower to tower. My question would be, what are you going to reference? Because I'm not familiar with the AJE mini towers, so I don't know how those compare. As in, let's say the reference for the towers at where do you want to measure from is 40 inches. Are the mini towers supposed to be the exact same spot, or are they going to be wider? I mean, I'm not familiar with them enough to know what would be best to give you, as far as information. James, if I had to modify my rear frame rails, would be difficult with the frame inner structure updates. Oh yeah, yeah. On your car, it would be difficult. Yep. Derek says, "Great talking, guys. Got to go. Work calls. Keep well, Barry. Everyone. Glad you're here, Derek. Glad you're here." Yeah, I'm not sure what the answer is on the towers exactly. Um, so Robert has pointed out that 40 1/4 measurement I mentioned is from the corner of the fender aprons. Okay, corner of the fender aprons. So is that the forward apron or the rear apron? I'm assuming there's going to be a measurement difference. I don't have anything to reference for that in my garage because everything in here now is 68 or 69, and I'm not sure if I'm sure something is going to be different. So, blind luck mechanic, I was just wondering how much room I gained with them. Not really looking for measurements to put back in place. Oh, okay. So Robert says the upper corner is above where the bar would mount. Okay, so you're talking about where the Monte Carlo bar mounts, the rear corner of the forward aprons. Gotcha. So I think what he's asking now is he's looking for an internal measurement. Like the early cars had the bigger, wider shock towers, so they took out. You couldn't. I don't know. I mean, they were built for small blocks. That's why people want to use the 67 or 8 towers to make them wider, so that they can put a big block in there. So I think what he's looking for is an internal measurement. So somewhere within the internal dimensions of the shock tower, like maybe where the peak humps are. I don't know, because you got that upright piece as well. So maybe somewhere in there. I don't know. It's kind of hard to come up with those numbers right now. Michael Pagliarini, my 65 is 40.5. Okay. And Robert, not a clue on an engine space width, just a few miles from home. Yeah, you're not even close right now. So I guess that's kind of what he's looking for, is how much did he gain by putting in those AJE mini towers, which I have not looked at those. I saw pictures he had posted on Facebook, and of course he has his put stuff on YouTube. So that's all I've seen of those before. I've not even considered those as an option. Um, can you hear the acorns falling? I've got acorns falling on. There's a big oak tree on the outside of the garage, and these little acorns keep falling. I don't know if it's squirrels knocking them down or what, but they keep hitting the roof. Michael says, "Let me know where exactly, and I will measure it right now." Um, I'm trying to hold on just 1 second. I've got a tower sitting outside. The only thing I could say is maybe that centerpiece that goes above the engine mount. You know, where it's got that rib that comes up in the middle of the tower. Maybe if you can see where if they're on plane somewhere, maybe you can measure between those just to see, just get an idea roughly where it's at. Because with these ones he put in, I'm sure that it's a completely different structure. I think, let me see if I have, if I can find a picture quick. Hey, Blind Luck Mechanic, I just did a search for AJE mini towers, and your unboxing video showed up. It's on the list. That's pretty cool. So let me see. There's a picture, and I know this doesn't help if you can't see what these towers look like, and that's not the answer I'm looking for. I was trying to find an image where they were more visible. Let's see if I can. I don't even know if I can do this. That might work. Oh, if that's the case, well, I don't know what that car's in though, or what that's in. So, I like the design, but I don't know if I could. I don't know if I actually got the picture that I wanted. See if I can pull this up. Oh, I can't open that. It won't let me open that. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it will. Hold on. So there you can see what these towers look like. And I don't know what year this car is. It's just a picture I found. But it appears to be a Mustang. But you can see how these towers are huge. That opening is huge between those towers. At least from what it looks like there. Now, of course, these people put in a rack and pinion steering and all that stuff. But yeah, that'd be quite the difference, at least from what I'm seeing. Dave Tyson does he have the old ones? Oh, he's already cut them out. He's cut them out. James, large hole in center, shock tower inner brace. Michael, frame rail or top of aprons? Frame rail or top of aprons? I think he wants internal, like where the shape of the towers are. That dimensions. And it's probably not going to make much difference because he's already putting them in, so they're going to be keeping them. Rick, if anybody's interested, today's the first night Ryan Seacrest takes over from Pat Sajak on Wheel of Fortune. It was important to my mother anyway. Just thought I'd share. Okay. Robert, her mom is watching it. So I have my earbuds in. Oh, okay. Blind Luck Mechanic, I have a video titled "A JE Mini Tower Comparison" that might help. Okay. Blind Luck is no big deal, though. I can do some internet researching. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Tim Miller just finished buffing painting on my 67 Brittany blue and black top. What a, I guess, mess. Had the cover top keep compound off stuff. Yeah. That black top. Yeah. Good job. That's not easy. Jerry says, yeah, Rick, I had to convince her that it wasn't Pat Sajak. Oh. Mr. Cyrano, eBay 1970 Mustang measurements give you the measurement poster size. Huh. Okay. Thank you for that. Rick says, Blind Luck Mechanic will pull my cover off and take some measurements for you for whatever you need tomorrow. Yeah, I think he's talking about a measurement without the engine in, though. He's talking about what the gap is where the engine actually sits. So it might not be an easy thing to measure. But like I said, I don't think he's going to take him back out. He's going to, I don't know what they say you can put in there with that mod, whether, it's supposed to be a like a Coyote or something. I'm sure he'll wedge in whatever he can to fit in there. I'm just looking through some other pictures. Yeah, that makes a big difference. I'm just seeing some other pictures on here, so. Okay. Travis Holtman, sorry I'm late. Hope you all are doing good. We are doing pretty good, Travis. Glad you're here. I don't know how much longer I'm going to last because my voice is really starting to get irritated. I've had this head cold all week. And it's just not doing any good. Rick, Blind Luck Mechanic, I'm sure the EcoBoost 3.6 liter V6 would fit just fine. Yeah, there you go. Yep. James, AJE only makes Fox body platform struts and suspension. Okay. So, C&J Hoyt, on my 66 coupe, at the top of the center rail is 32 inches wide, and the bottom is 20 and a quarter. Okay. That's some good information right there. So 32 at the top of the center rail. So you're talking about that rib in the center of the strut, or the tower. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. He says 23, not 32. Oh, yeah, there you go. So 23 at the top, 20 and a half at the bottom. Let me say that again. 23 at the top, 20 and a quarter at the bottom. Okay. Sorry about that. Rick Ains and somebody else has asked it, how are everybody's cats doing tonight? That's a good question. Couldn't tell you. Robert, going to stock up on pseudo gobs at Sheets tomorrow before going home. Yeah, unfortunately, we could not get the real gobs when we were in Pennsylvania. All the stores were out. So we ended up getting some of the store brand homemade gobs that the store sells. and also just a couple from Sheets as well. The peanut butter ones are my favorite. Blind Luck, yeah, they're staying in. It was more just a situation I wanted to know, and had measured. Okay. You wish you had measured beforehand. They say it gains 9 inches per side, so I was just really curious. Yep, that's a lot. You could put two EcoBoost V6 engines in there. Stack them up side by side. That will turn heads everywhere. Oh, okay. I'm gonna go a little bit off my normal Mustang subject because I know I've talked about this before. Um, while we were in Pennsylvania, um, I was giving an opportunity to ride in a Tesla. We had a family gathering. Some people that are friends of the family were there, and there were a couple of Teslas, and it was interesting. It was interesting. I've talked about electric cars before, and I'm still kind of I still stand by the fact that we can't have. I don't think we can have everybody driving electric cars. I'm not against commuter stuff, and I get it. There's a place for it, and they were kind of talking about this Tesla, and they wanted me to take it for a drive, and I said, okay, I'm open to that. I'm happy to. And I will say this: there is something to be said for the power of electric. There is definitely something to. Now we're not talking about a hybrid type of vehicle where it's got a battery and a gas engine. We're talking about the full electric. And in this case, I don't know if this one had been modded or not for sure, because the one of the owners was a mechanic of some sort, a tuner. I don't know, but it was impressive. I will say that. I will say, you've heard me say it. It was impressive. I've never been in anything that accelerated so fast, and it was cool. I admit it was a cool thing to do or to ride in. We were in the car, and we were doing about 30 miles an hour or something like that. And the owner had said, put your head back and then step on the throttle. And I did. And we went from like 30 to 82 miles an hour in like a second and a half. It was fun. It was fun. Now, does that mean I'm going to go out and buy one? No. But it was fun to go for a ride in one and just to see what they were like. It was cool. Yeah. But I'm not going to modify one or modify any of my cars to electric. These cars are all going to stay, I'm still driving gas cars. I wanted to at least have the experience of it. So I give them credit. The car launches like a rocket. It was cool. It was neat to experience that. So, again, there's a place for those commuter cars and all that sort of thing. That's fine, but we can't put the whole country on electric vehicles. It just wouldn't work. But it was interesting. It was interesting. Let's see. Rick, 2 EcoBoost, 2 drive shaft, 1 for the left wheel, 1 for the right. That would be interesting. Good idea, Barry. Yeah. Mr. Serino says trader. No, I'm not going to buy one. Robert, I'm not against a modern high horsepower V6 for the 66. Yeah, and probably a good mileage too. Rick says electric cars only belong on a golf course, no more. Well, and Dave Tyson puts you back in the seat. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Rick, gasoline forever. Get your T-shirts now. Yes. I'm not going to go buy one. I didn't say that, but I wanted to at least have the experience of driving one. So it was cool. James Barry is going to buy a 2025 Mustang Mach-E GT. No. Not even. No. Not even close. Michael, 27 5/8 inner frame, top of the apron, 40 and 1/8 inch motor mounts, center to center holes, 21 and 3/8. 27 and 5/8 inner frame. Top of the apron is 40 and 1/8. Okay. Motor mounts center to center holes 21 and 3/8. Okay. Thank you for that, Michael. James, Tim Allen is building a 1934 Ford Vicky on his YouTube channel. Okay. That's cool. Blind Luck Mechanic, which Tesla was it? I don't even know. I don't know. It was blue. It was not like, it was the regular sedan. I don't know. I don't know. I don't pay any attention to them. I know it wasn't the truck thing. And I don't know the different models. All I know is it was room for four, and it was it was quick. That's all I can tell you. I don't know which one it was. James, the Vicky is all electric. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, he can. Yeah, that's fine. He can do what he wants. But yeah, it was a good experience. I mean, it was worth the ride, checking it out, see what it's like. But I don't see one showing up in my driveway at all. Randy Bayless, when spraying clear coat, do you like to use hardener? If not, how long do you let it dry before cut and buff? I think you have to use hardener with clear coat. I think. Now you got to make me think here. Doesn't I think it has to have hardener. Now you're going to make me think. Because I haven't sprayed anything in a while. Yeah. Yeah, I think all the stuff I've ever used has hardener in it. Or, you've had to add hardener to it. But usually I'll wait a couple days, 2-3 days, before I do any sanding and buffing. Usually. Now, some people, depending on the temperatures, you could do it sooner. Or if you have a paint booth that has heat and help cure stuff, it can do it sooner. But for me, I have to let it sit 2-3 days. Blind Luck, thank you, Michael, and everyone else that responded with measurements. Yep. Rick, a Motor Trend TV show called Vintage Voltage used to take all old vehicles and convert them to electric. I had no interest. Okay. Robert, I don't know of a clear that sets without hardener unless there's an acrylic enamel that will air dry. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think I'll have to have hardeners. That's where it kind of threw me. I'm like, that had made me think. I'm like, well, did I do it? I know I did. James, I don't want to own a car that is saying only to charge outside due to possible battery fire. They are warning all electric car owners not to charge in an attached garage overnight. Well, that's I get that. Dawn, you definitely need hardener. Clear needs to be tough. Okay, so you're talking. Okay, so Randy says use activator. Yes. But hardener is different. Okay, so I have not. I use the activator if that's what we're talking about, which I would call the hardener. So I don't have an answer for you on that. If there's another additive that can go into it, I don't have an answer because I just use whatever comes with the kit. So if it's the gallon of liquid and the activator or hardener, whatever we want to call it, that's all I ever use. I've never added anything secondary to it, so I'm not going to have an answer for you on that. But I will say that I'm probably going to have to call it a night. My voice is really my throat's starting to get rough, and I'm not feeling good about that. We've had some good conversation here, obviously, and some good questions. Hopefully, we've got some good answers, but I'm gonna have to go. It's just until I get this head cold cleared up, not much else I can do. I do plan to be back here next Monday, assuming everything goes well, and we'll see what I can get done this week. I'm still rearranging a little bit, but I am getting closer and closer to getting the cover jet into primer. That's the goal. So as it is, thanks for watching, and let me find my little end thing here. Okay, thanks for watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.